Good afternoon. So, now we are going to look at a smart grid application at the GB Pant Hospital in Port Blair, which looks like this. So, from the satellite view, basically there are a lot of rectangles here, and they point to areas for solar. There are some yellow rectangles also, and that is where we want to put our little special panels, bifacial panels, on a tracker. And I'm coming to why we want to have a tracker. But let's go on. And as you can see also, it's not using the southern sloping roofs only. There are some going to the east and some to the west. And that is also has an important role. But now it comes to a very complex figure. Do I have a mic I can walk around with? Oh, let's see if I can point here. So basically, the main supply, or actually all supply in a long run, comes from the sun, even that. But okay, great. Okay, so mainly input through solar, but sun only shines daytime. So we need a storage. And what do we do with the solar? Well, basically, we feed it into the local grid, anywhere in the hospital where it suits. So we go actually directly to AC. And that is because we don't want to, we want to be able to show this without affecting anything else of the hospital, since this is a hospital. But there might be some surplus or some sometimes it is not sufficient, and then we will have a battery storage, which is kind of a common solution. But we also have something called an electrolyzer. You could put electricity in water, you get hydrogen, and you get oxygen. The funny thing of getting oxygen to a hospital is that it is actually it's usually a byproduct to store energy in hydrogen, but oxygen, in this case, is a valuable byproduct. Hydrogen we store and will be used with a fuel cell to produce power when there is no other. And we also will take care of all the organical waste that is produced by the hospital and also some neighboring places. Put in a biogas reactor and in a biogas motor go to electricity. So what we want to show is how to be able to take care of that grid. Yeah. Now, why do we want to use a tracker? Well, basically it is because storage is expensive. Batteries are expensive. And it's only, you shouldn't need it if you can supply at another time of use. And this is just to show the difference in profile between a tracker and a traditional southbound solar installation. So we have the day coming here. If we have a tracker, we'll have a higher peak earlier and more throughout the day. And this suffices our needs commonly when we want to do a self-sufficient 365 days a year microgrid. We're not talking about a small backup here. We want to be able to supply any day. So we have this is just to show the tracker difference compared to a solar implementation, and you can see the tracker is broader and the solar rooftop is pointier or in the field. And actually this concludes that it minimizes the storage need if we only look at solar. But now let's come to the load curve. So GB Pant Hospital is actually using a lot of units. We have chosen to look at one ward, an MRI ward, to suit this as a pilot. And we can follow the orange here, which is an example of load, it goes into the gray here. So kind of low night load and then going up. And of course, different each day. And also so is the sun. So this is just an example of how we need to store energy. And that balance, in this case that I showed earlier, would come to this happening. So here we need to store some surplus, and here we need to give some deficit. And that we will do through batteries and the hydrogen storage and the biogas. And here is a little picture of where we are actually jumping on to only the MRI ward. So we have an existing AC grid in the hospital. The solar panels will be distributed all over. It's quite a huge cost to put everything together to just one via cabling. So our approach is to, and also not to affect the hospital at anything. We want to be able to connect with AC of all different units. So we will have the biogas on one place, solar, one inverter on one place, another there. And in the end, close to the transformer, we will put up a metering section and batteries and battery inverters, which will try to resemble the load. And our goal is 100% autonomy in this, but we will not affect. But in a happens, it would be a grid failure. Our system can go in and supply. We don't want to have any much moving parts, because moving parts require more maintenance. So, and one of the few moving parts that we could have is actually to store oxygen and hydrogen. But nowadays, it is actually possible to build electrolyzers. I mean, you feed them with you pump in deionized water, and you can work them up to 80 bar. So you'll get 80 bar oxygen, 80 bar hydrogen out of it. So with just a main feed water pump, you get in here and you don't have any compressor for the storage. And oxygen and hydrogen would be stored in bottles like these, cans like these. And in the end, we will have this balance of the system showing, I mean, the balance at every point of time. So this is just an example from another project, how consumption has been, how solar has been, when the battery has been used up and down. And basically, that is for the system. The biogas system we are looking at is coming from FOV Biogas. They have commissioned something like 15-20 units around in India, and it's usually, I mean, it looks like an airbag, simply put. A very interesting technology that has proven to work very well. Here is just an example of how it can be adapted into it. So, another thing that concerns, I mean, smart grid in general is the time of use. I was presenting this bifacial solar panel. I mean, the uniqueness is that you don't only need to use it facing south to the sun. You can use it vertical, having a morning peak and an afternoon peak. So this is an example from the Andamans how that would look like, and this is the effect of the generation profile, which means that if you look at in a bigger scale, in an aggregated scale, the peaks come at the morning peak and in the afternoon peak, basically. And you could also use it for higher hosting capacity of solar. So this is just to show it comes from California, but using the vertical can give you a higher hosting capacity. So if you would normally be able to put 20 gigawatt of solar. If you mix in about 20–30% of this, you can maybe put in 25 or 30. And that's it for me. Thank you.